Hi. The power of check and balance will still continue in Trump's presidency, like the bureaucracy and civil society, even though the Republican control both houses of the Congress. But the staying power of the civil society's check and balance is still questionable. The Women's March is amazing from the media perspective, but if we compare it to the Tea Party movement, we see that it might have a long way to go, because Tea Party movement, even though the content is questionable, but it has very widespread influence. And also we see that lots of times the civil society power can descend into violence, as you can see in the Berkeley. So what do you see that this kind of check and balance power from the civil society, what kind of strategy it should adopt in order to better exert its influence on the presidential power?
Well, it's a tough question and pretty far outside of my area of expertise. But my sense is that the thing that's most powerful about civic society and some of these institutions, the Fourth Estate, the media, churches, a lot of these institutions that exist sort of in the middle layers of society, what's so important about them is that they have credibility, right? So that they're able to sort of channel certain passions and certain interests in a way that's typically pretty productive. Now, I don't know that I would call the Berkeley protests and there was the anarchists who were setting cars on fire and so forth. I don't know that I would call them civic society. But one thing that came to mind when you were talking about this is, what's an institution in our society that still has incredibly broad support across the political spectrum? And one answer is the military. That's not what I'm thinking about. Another answer is science. Scientists have really, really high rates of approval and rates of credibility, even now in our society. So when I think of something like the Science March, one thing that really worries me is that to the degree that we insert these things in this political conversation in a hyper-partisan way, we destroy the credibility of these institutions that are super important. And frankly, scientists marching on Washington are not going to do a whole lot to affect policy one way or the other, but what they may do is further the politicization of science that makes it harder for people to trust so-called scientific experts. So I really worry about that. And my advice to those who are worried about civic institutions and civic society is to ask yourself, is the thing that you're doing building the credibility of this institution, or is it destroying the credibility of this institution? And if it's not building the credibility of the institution, then it's not worthwhile, because that's what we really need right now, is civic institutions that people actually believe in.
Thank you.